The prison moon of Graalvek was built for creatures far more dangerous than a human. Its walls were woven with hexalock alloys and sealed with plasma welds. Every door knew its prisoner's respiration rate, hydration cycle, and aggression potential. So when they brought in the human, they didn't worry. He was bruised, quiet, weak-looking, just a Terran male, half-starved, dressed in blood-stained fatigues and bound in carbon-titanium shackles that glowed with neural inhibitors. He had a name probably, but they just called him Specimen 12A37. The Threxian guards laughed as they tossed him into cell 19. Deathwilder, huh? Let's see how long before he begs. He didn't beg, he sat. Day 1. The human said nothing. Didn't pace. Didn't scream. Didn't ask for water, for food, for mercy. He simply stared at the far wall, where a crack in the plaza glass let light spill in from the outer corridor. That night his vitals were reviewed by the observation team. Everything read as baseline. A Korlathi doctor shook his head. They say humans are volatile. This one's already broken. Day 3. A maintenance drone floated in to clean the cell. The human didn't move. The drone buzzed close to his left wrist where the cuff had pinched deep. It sprayed antiseptic. The human winced, just once, but not in pain, in calculation. Day 6, guards began taunting him. They beat on the glass, shouted slurs, even lowered the heat to discomfort levels. Nothing changed. He stared, always at the same crack in the wall. Day 9, the first anomaly appeared. Shift logs from guards Zell and Barrett showed differing timestamps. Each swore they'd seen the prisoner blink at exactly 15:22:07, but one claimed it happened during a power flicker. There was no flicker recorded. Day 12, a new guard, young and too curious, dared to open the interface panel. What's the worst he'll do? Glare at me. He reached in to scan the human's restraints manually. The moment the panel beeped green, the human turned his head just 5 degrees. The guard stumbled backward, dropped the scanner. The movement was slow, not threatening, but controlled, deliberate, like the sound of something testing the bars of a cage. Day 15. Internal logs flagged an inconsistency. The prisoner's hydration levels were dropping too slowly. He wasn't drinking enough and somehow not dying. The medbots ran a thermal pass. It came back showing reduced metabolic activity. The human was slowing himself down, by choice. Day 21, the guards started rotating faster. No one wanted to be near cell 19 after lights out. One said he'd heard something tapping, metal against metal. Another claimed he saw reflections inside the glass that didn't match the human's movements. The head warden dismissed it. He's chained to the wall, let him rattle. But even he didn't go near the cell anymore. Day 27, a senior officer, Commander Trell, conducted a morale sweep. He stopped at the human cell. "Why don't you say something?" he barked through the intercom. The human finally moved, not toward him, just sat up straighter, met his eyes, said nothing, didn't blink. Commander Trell turned away after 7 seconds. His hands were shaking. Day 35, something changed. The maintenance drone didn't return from cell 19. Its signal was dead. Its failsafe reboot had failed. A second drone was sent. It stopped 5 meters short. Sensors overloaded. Visual feed cut to black. The techs ran diagnostics. No signs of tampering, no explanation. Day 40, the human was breathing less than once every 20 seconds. Heart rate 32 BPM. Muscle tension neutral. Yet when the guards reviewed the shackles, the wear marks were wrong. Stress lines weren't where they should be, not on the outer hinges. They were forming internally, from the inside out, as if someone had been subtly flexing, not to escape, but to test structural failure points. Day 47, the guard assigned to cell 19 didn't report for duty. They found his shift card abandoned. Locker open. Comm device smashed. Security footage showed him leaving the hallway at speed, mumbling something over and over. They enhanced the audio. "It's not a man, it's waiting." Day 52. The new AI warden flagged the human's pattern as inorganic. Subject no longer exhibiting normal stress or deterioration curves. Possible deceptive compliance. Translation: He was playing dead, perfectly, but not to escape. To watch. Day 60, the guards gave him a new name, the Hollow One. No one knew who started it, but it spread. Fast. Day 74, in the observation deck, a rookie analyst noticed something strange in the infrared feed. Every night between 03:12 and 03:14, the human's body temperature rose slightly. Only for 2 minutes. And during those exact 2 minutes, the ship systems always experienced a minor sensor drift. Insignificant but consistent. When flagged, the AI returned a simple suggestion, possible coordinated interference pattern. They ignored it. Day 81, guards assigned to Cell 19 were now only rotated once per shift. No contact, no provocation. No one went in, except for the drone team who stopped sending live units. They switched to remote visuals only. Still, every 3 days one of them quit. Day 89. A technician working the cell's restraint diagnostics reported that the neural dampeners were resisting recalibration. The human's body was compensating, adapting. The shackles weren't holding him in place anymore. They were holding themselves together out of routine, not strength, not programming, just habit. Day 92. The lights flickered twice between 02:00 and 02:01. One guard saw a shadow move across the wall inside Cell 19. It couldn't be. The human was asleep, wasn't he? Day 93, the guards opened their shift reports. The log for Cell 19 read, restraints offline. Subject. Mobile location, unknown. Noise detected, screaming. Then silence. The observation feed returned a single corrupted frame, a pair of human eyes wide open, staring directly into the lens, and behind him, chains on the floor. The first scream came from Block 6. It was short, cut off halfway like someone had gasped and never exhaled. The security feed showed nothing, just the flickering hallway light and an open utility panel that shouldn't have been open. Guard Commander Tresk dispatched 2 units. They never returned. 20 minutes later, another scream echoed through the ventilation shafts. Block 3 this time. This one wasn't cut short. It went on, until it turned wet. By the time the response team arrived, all they found was a pile of shredded clothing, a plasma baton bent into a crescent, and blood running upward. Asterisk against gravity, asterisk into the vent. Panic spread. They tried to lock down the block, but the systems lagged, code corruption, security firewalls disabled from inside. The AI watchdog sent a warning to Central. Error. Prisoner 12A37, cell breach, location unknown. Recommend station evacuation. It was ignored. The commander didn't believe in ghosts. In the main control room, 7 officers huddled around the central display. They rerouted all camera feeds to track Sector 4. The hallway there was cold, too cold. Frost had formed on the walls. One officer leaned closer. Is that movement? The light shifted. A blur, a figure just for a split second passed behind the fogged glass. They increased contrast. Slowed the footage. It was the human, naked, bloodstained, smiling, and holding a piece of his own restraint. 4 guards were sent to intercept. One made it back. He couldn't speak. He kept clawing at his helmet, whispering over and over. He wasn't running, he was walking toward us. The warden issued full combat lockdown, all prisoners sedated, gates sealed, every hallway choked with drones and kill fields. The lights flickered again. And then the screaming started in 3 blocks at once. In the Hydra room, they found a body hanging by its own intestines. A message carved into the wall with a guard's badge. This was day 1 for me. By hour 4, 15 guards were dead, 8 more were missing. The power grid began fluctuating. Atmospheric controls failed. Gravity in one sector reversed. Bodies floated, limbs contorted, mouths open in frozen terror. Security feeds glitched. Every loop now ended with those same human eyes, staring. The AI crashed. The warden finally issued the unthinkable, flush the level, hard purge. They vented the block into space. Silence followed. Then a soft knock came from inside the observation room sealed door. 3 knocks, evenly spaced. No air outside, no pressure. Still, the knocks came. Commander Trell led the final team personally, armed with grav hammers, neuro rifles, and a dreadnought mech unit. They entered Sector 9. They didn't return, not because they died quickly, because they didn't die at all. They were found later, stacked like a shrine, all alive, eyes open, paralyzed. One had bitten off his own tongue in terror. Another had wet himself and kept weeping softly, murmuring, "He was already behind us." In the command chamber, silence ruled. 3 remaining officers. No guards, no working comms. No power to escape pods. They reviewed the logs again. Chains broken internally. Sensors jammed with salt. Human sweat crystallized and scraped into circuit seams. Drones redirected by manipulated proximity signals. Motion blur patterns that matched pre-mapped patrol blind spots. This hadn't been rage. It had been execution. The last surviving analyst replayed the final footage of Cell 19. He zoomed in on the wall, the crack the human had always stared at. Behind it was a reflective panel, and just past that a clean line of sight to every security terminal's manual override. He watched us for 93 days, memorized the system, learned the loops. He wasn't breaking down, he was booting up. A final alarm rang out. Block 0 breached. That wasn't possible. Block 0 housed nothing. No access, no systems, just storage. They checked the logs. 1 pod missing. Not an escape pod, not a weapons crate, a transmission unit. As the system collapsed, a single broadcast pinged off the satellite network, encrypted, human-coded, simple. Situation resolved. Host extraction successful. Mission timer. 93 days. Primary objective complete. Psychological deterrence confirmed. Recommend full retrieval. P.S. They're slower than advertised. The last guard stared at the blinking message. The humans hadn't been prisoners. They'd been infiltrating. They hadn't sent a soldier. They'd sent a lesson. And now the lesson was over. The first thing the galaxy saw was static. Then a flash of motion, blurred at the edges. The audio clicked on with a hiss. A voice, human, calm and conversational. "Hello." Then the screen lit up. A figure sat calmly at a desk in a dim, flickering chamber. Blood smeared the walls behind him. Chains hung loosely from the ceiling. His eyes glowed softly in infrared mode, suggesting he had taken the camera from the prison itself. The voice continued. "Your prison is gone. Your guards are gone. Your secrets, studied. My name doesn't matter. But my message does." He leaned forward just enough to make millions of watchers across star systems lean back. "You took me thinking I was a man, a soldier, a captive." He smiled faintly. "I was a mirror." Then the screen flickered, jumped, and the screams began. Across the galactic net, secure feeds broke open. Military networks, private syndicates, even encrypted Imperial links. All of them showed the same thing, footage from inside Graalvek, unfiltered. The mutilated guards, the torn vents, the slow walk of the human as he passed terrified Threxians without speaking. A 4-minute clip, silent, raw, showed him entering a control chamber where 5 guards raised weapons. He didn't flinch, they fired. The shots hit metal he'd already moved. In the next frame, he was behind them. In the next, they were gone. A billion beings watched in silence. And then came the second broadcast. A calm voice again. "You wanted to break us, study us, find our limits, but you can't study fire from inside the furnace." Cut to the human tying a guard's hands with his own broken restraints, whispering something in his ear. The guard screamed before the blade even touched him. By day 2, panic spread across 5 sectors. The Threxian Empire locked down internal communications, but it was too late. Clips flooded the blacknets and civilian networks alike. Reactions varied. The Cairo refused to speak the word human aloud. The Venari issued a formal apology to Earth, even though Earth hadn't responded yet. The Jehal Consortium labeled humans as Class R red entities, a designation reserved for existential threats like supernovae and rogue AI. One analyst summarized it best. We didn't see a soldier go rogue. We saw a species wake up. Meanwhile, Earth said nothing. No reply, no denials, not even confirmation the human had returned, which made everything worse. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. 32 races represented. 3 refused to attend. The discussion was chaos. Why was he allowed access to a live feed? How did he bypass biometric locks? We built that prison with 6-layer adaptive architecture. One voice cut through. A gray-skinned, 4-eyed Kalrani admiral. You didn't take a human prisoner. You gave one time. Back on Earth, or perhaps near it, a classified program updated its logs. Asset 12A37, mission confirmed. Psychological cascade trigger achieved. Attached was a simple memo. Let the galaxy fear what happens when we say nothing. But it wasn't over, because the third and final transmission arrived. It came during a live imperial address by the Threxian Emperor himself. Halfway through a speech about order and dominion, the screen went black, then static, then a final message. You called us Deathworlders. You were right, but death doesn't mean violent, death means patient. You put me in chains, I memorized every code. You beat me, I counted every breath. You fed me scraps, I built a map with your crumbs. The screen changed. A slow-motion image of the human walking through fire and smoke. Not running, not hiding, walking. Behind him everything burned. Then silence. The screen went black. A final word etched in white. Observe less. Listen more. Governments trembled, allies whispered, enemies stopped laughing. Because now they knew the truth. The human hadn't escaped. He had let them believe he was ever caught. They called Grauveck an incident. They called him a rogue. They told themselves it was a one-off. They needed to believe that. Until it happened again. Station Euro 9 sent a distress signal 4 days after the Grauveck broadcast. A cargo freighter carrying minerals from the core veil had docked with a priority override code, coded Terran, but claimed to be automated. The bay doors opened. No crew, no cargo, just blood, frozen handprints, a pair of snapped restraints, then screams, again. Command tried to suppress it. Didn't matter. A leak showed a silhouette moving through infrared fog, dodging sensor beams, bypassing drones like it knew them already. Another whisper echoed across the systems. We didn't break him, he was one of many. Panic became policy. Dozens of Threxian and Zarn ships refused to accept human prisoners. New orders, kill on capture, but Earth said nothing. No retaliation, no declaration, just silence. That was worse. An emergency protocol was proposed by the Galactic Council. Designate humans as autonomous psychological warfare entities. Translation: don't detain them. Don't isolate them. Don't let them plan. But it was too late, because one detail in the Grauveck incident had been missed. Asset 12A37 was never listed as missing by Earth. There had been no rescue, no extraction beacon. He had simply disappeared from a war zone, assumed dead, forgotten, until they found him in their most secure prison, studying. And now others began surfacing, not on prison moons, but on capital worlds. A janitor on Cathar Prime who silently disappeared after a blackout killed 4 senators. A botanist on Velra Roman 4 who'd cataloged the food exports of 17 races, then vanished the night before 12 supply lines were sabotaged. A child rescued from a crashed Terran freighter who'd spent 6 years in an alien orphanage, until every system in that sector went blind for 9.3 minutes. The data retrieved after, encrypted, Terran signature. Earth still said nothing, but a quiet phrase began appearing in dark channels, etched on blast doors, burned into ship hulls. We are the ones you trained. We are the ones you forgot. We are the silence before your scream. On Station Virn Delta, an alien ambassador named Sovril petitioned Earth formally, "Please, just tell us what you are." He received a one-line reply through an untraceable signal burst. "We're what happens when your chains don't work." The fear wasn't that humans were violent. It was that humans were prepared. that while the galaxy had mapped star lanes and political borders, humans had mapped each other. They knew who to send, where, when, and why, and they never sent the loud ones. They sent the patient ones. Eventually, a Threxian war historian reviewed all Terran disappearances over the past 3 decades. She compared them to major incidents: supply collapses, political assassinations, failed invasions, unsolved massacres. There was a match, not all perfect, but enough. It's not retaliation, she whispered. It's deployment. She sent the report to High Command. It was buried. She defected. In the final days of the panic, a story emerged, an old one, from a forgotten border colony. A soldier, human, captured during a failed defense, said to have vanished from a Threxian torture facility. Weeks later, the site was found abandoned. The guards, gone, no blood, no signs of struggle, just one thing etched into the wall so deep it cut through steel plating. You took a man. We sent a message. The markings matched the Gralvek cell, same pressure, same blade, same hand. The galaxy understood too late. They hadn't captured humans. They'd built classrooms, and humans had taken notes. Somewhere in deep space, a dark ship drifted in silence. On board, a man stood in a sealed chamber lined with surveillance feeds. Dozens of them, dozens of prisons, labor camps, war zones. Each one had a face marked as missing, dead, forgotten. Each one wore a human smile. The man watched quietly, then spoke. Chain one of us and we study you. Chain 100 and we write your obituary. Chain 1,000, he smiled. You won't live long enough to regret it.